Hey folks, I am Kevin Iole and I appreciate you joining me. And my guest right now, one of the fun guys in boxing to talk to, extraordinarily knowledgeable former world champion. And I'm sure that puts a smile on his face when I say that. I know how hard he worked to get that. And now I think a great analyst at DAZN, the Latin Snake, Sergio Mora. Sergio, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Kevin, for the respect. Anytime you introduce a fighter as former world champion, it's going to bring a smile to their face.
Boy, I'll tell you, I remember covering you in the first season of The Contender, and you and Ishe Smith won world titles. And I have to say, I did not look at that class of fighters and say there was going to be a world champion come out of that. So the fact that there was two shows what I know.
No, not only that, but it was the two favorites. Ishe Smith was undefeated. I was undefeated. Peter Manfredo was undefeated. A couple other guys had, highly ranked. Jesse Brinkley was highly ranked. But for me and Ishe to win a world title, I mean, it solidified what the whole premise of the contender was, is to make a contender champion.
No, that was incredible. What do you think is going to be the impact of this delay on boxing when fighters, now they started to train? Let's say, a fight like Inoue and Casemiro, that was going to be a fight, coming up in April. So many people were into it. They were hard into training, and now we get this delay. When they come back, like, do they have to start training camp all over again, or what do you do?
You're gonna have to put everything on pause. Everyone's gonna have to evolve and go with the flow because nothing is set. And usually fighters are programmed. They give us a certain amount of time, and we know we have 6 to 8 weeks to prepare, and we know exactly how to space that time out and kind of categorize what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to set 2 weeks for the promotion of the fight. We're going to train 5 weeks. We're going to sparring and training, and then we're going to have 1 week of just relaxation and go into the fight prepared. But that's not the case now because we don't know when we're fighting. I'm still speaking as a fighter.
Right.
Fighters don't know when they're fighting, and they just have to stay ready because at worst, we're going to be quarantined for another 3, 4, 5 months, hopefully. But if they could start preparing, inside their house and quarantined or at the gym just with their trainer, if they could start doing that before this gets lifted, I think that'll be the ideal thing to do because promoters are going to want to get these shows filled ASAP.
Right.
I know with DAZN, Eddie Hearn, he's thinking 4 or 5 steps ahead. So these fighters are going to get paid, they're going to be active, and they're going to be ready to go. So it'll be a very smart idea for all fighters on all platforms just to stay ready, stay focused. Don't get quarantined and fattened up and think that you're a normal person. You're still a professional athlete, and you got to act like one.
There's a couple things that I wanted to talk to you about. I want to talk about the heavyweights because I know people love the heavyweight division. But before I get into that, I want to start with Canelo Alvarez and Triple G. There was the announcement or the rumored fight that they've agreed to a third fight. So we don't know what's going to happen. So with that caveat in place, what do you think if they fight again? Will a third fight between them be different than the first two? The first two were outstanding fights. I thought Triple G won the first one. I had the second one a draw. How do but I could see Canelo winning that second one. How do you think this time off has affected the two guys? And it seems like Canelo has continued to rise where maybe Triple G hasn't.
And that comes with age. Triple G I think he's going to turn 37, or he just turned 37, and Canelo is 28 years old. So that's when a fighter starts really feeling it in his mid 30s. No matter how well you take care of yourself and how much you avoided punishment inside the ring, age is age. And Golovkin, we saw in his last fight with Derevyanchenko, he looked susceptible. He looked beatable. He got hurt. These are things we're not used to seeing. I think this third fight we're gonna finally have a clear winner. I don't think it goes to decision if they do fight again. And I'm not a big fan of trilogies. I really am not, because if you look at the history of trilogies, usually the third one is forgettable. I mean, you can look at any trilogy that you could think of. I mean, Pacquiao.
Marquez and Vasquez was unbelievable.
Okay,
Burr and Morales was unbelievable.
Name another one. Name another trilogy.
Let's see, what else do we got? Gotti and Ward?
The first two. The third.
Ali Frazier. The Thrill of Manila was the third one.
You know what? It's better not to talk to a historian about this thing.
You're
I'm just thinking of other ones.
not dealing with Chris Mannix here.
I'm thinking of Pacquiao Bradley. I'm thinking of Pacquiao Morales. I'm thinking of, the first two were great. The third one was kind of forgettable.
Right.
I mean, if you think about Sugar Ray Leonard and Roberto Duran trilogy, forgettable. So I guess it goes both ways. I'm not
Right.
a fan of them. I think the first two, they already know each other. It's competitive, and then usually by the time the third fight comes to fruition, something's lost in the mix. So something was lost. So I think in this case, since the first two fights were so clearly evenly matched, the third one, they know each other too well. I don't think it goes a decision. And they both have the power to shut it out, but I'm going to have to edge out the youthful fighter in Canelo.
I want to ask you this. I mean, do you think that Gennady's taken, which I think is some unfair criticism, people saying he's not all that. He was considered a boogeyman, but look, when he finally faces a real fighter, look what happens. And I don't know that that's fair to him to say that. But when you do look his pre-Canelo record, he did not have that great opposition like Canelo has faced. Canelo has faced a lot of elite guys, in different weight classes he's come up. Gennady has not had that. So how do you break that down? Like, do you think, Gennady was exposed, or do you think he just fought an all-time great in Canelo Alvarez?
No, I hate that people think he got exposed. I mean, you don't knock out 20 straight, opponents or whatever it was, and just be average or think that you were exposed. Now, this was special. What Gennady Golovkin did to get to the top. I mean, winning a silver medal and then doing what he did. I mean,
Right.
that's a great fighter. So everything he did wasn't an accident. He wasn't exposed, and it's just he finally competed with a pound for pound great fighter in Canelo. And Derevyanchenko's no joke either. He gave Daniel Jacobs a huge middleweight, everything he can handle. So Derevyanchenko was no joke, and he was prepared, and he had the right strategy going in that fight. He had Rozier in his corner, who also was in Jacobs' corner. So I just think he wasn't exposed. Golovkin is just getting older, and you can't beat Father Time. Father
Right.
Time's undefeated. Uh, I really don't think people should use that word exposed. Exposed is for fighters that haven't really reached the top and haven't maintained it for a long time. But that's not the case with Golovkin. He's been on top for a long time, his entire career. Exposed is a strong word.
Now, as we look at where the middleweight division is, obviously Canelo's, going to fight in multiple divisions. So I think there's an opening there for a new king. Who do you see out there? Is it Demetrius Andrade? Is it Charlo? Is there a guy coming up that you see could fill the breach that Canelo and Golovkin have had for a while on this division?
I would love to see Andrade and Charlo fight. I think that's such a interesting, evenly matched fight. They both are big fighters. That I would love that fight to happen, but I don't know how the cross promotion
Right.
and all that's going to work out. But I think the future of boxing is in safe hands. All we got to do is get out of this quarantine. I'm very excited about fighters about Virgil Ortiz. I see him as
Right.
as the future. Virgil Ortiz does everything right, but he has a fighter's temperament too. He has Robert Garcia in his corner. He's just a smart. He's a brilliant young man. Outside the ring, he's an artist. He's a piano player. He carries himself the way he carries himself. Devin Haney, another one, very similar to Ortiz. These are fighters that are ahead of their class. They're old souls, and you can definitely see that they're ahead of their time. So I think we're in safe hand with both those fighters. Shakur Stevenson is very exciting. Teofimo
Yeah.
Lopez, very exciting. Yeah, that's the future right there. I think those four fighters are very bright future, and they come from different backgrounds and different parts of the country. So that's always great.
I wrote something toward the end of last year. I said I think we're in sort of a golden age of boxing, actually, with like
Yeah.
you mentioned these guys. And I picked as my Yahoo Sports Prospect of the Year for 2019. I picked Daniel Dubois. I think he, as a heavyweight, is a guy that's going to be a big factor in that division too. Yeah, so I agree with you. I think we got a ton of young talent out there. Is there a middleweight, do you think, that is on the rise that will be at that level that could challenge a Andrade or a Charlo and maybe kind of be the next name to watch for?
There's so many Eastern Europeans that are making a name for themselves right now, but not until they face a solid opponent do we know what they have. Right now, it's Andrade. Demetrius Andrade has everything going for him. Charlo obviously has been on top for a while as well, but Andrade's been avoided. So I think he's passed every test that's been put in front of him. But he hasn't faced a name yet, and Charlo somewhat has. So I would have to say Charlo right now is the bright future at 160 right now.
I'm going to say something critical of Demetrius, and I hate to do that because he won the fight and he won the fight by stoppage. But I was not impressed is not the right word, but I didn't like his performance against Luke Keeler, and I kind of felt like he had the fight in the hand and he should have finished it right away. And I understand the kind of fighter he is, but he put Keeler down. What was it? 5 seconds into the fight, you were at ringside that night, and you might have a better view on this than I do since you were right there on the ring apron. Uh, Keeler seemed really badly hurt, and the fact that Demetrius didn't finish him and let him hang around a long time, I mean, I don't know if that was just fighting down to the level of the opponent, but I had a lot of respect for Demetrius, and it dropped just a little, not a lot. I still think he's a great fighter, but I dropped a lot just because of the way a little bit because of the way he fought there. What would you say to that?
I, for that fight, for Luke Keeler fight, I would have to agree. But when he fought Walter Katadakwa and he knocked down that monster 3, 4 times, and he couldn't finish him, that one I didn't criticize him. He couldn't stop him. And then also when he fought Maciej Sulecki,
So lucky
he
the
dropped
same
him
way.
in the first round, couldn't stop him either. That one I didn't criticize him as well because these are top fighters, these are top contenders, and I had an argument with Chris Mannix because Chris Mannix took your position as well, saying no, this is what he's missing, this is why he can't break through, this is why no one cares for Demetrius Andrade. And on the flip side, I backed him up on those two fights. On the Luke Keeler, I agree with you and Mannix. He should have finished them off earlier. He should have taken that fight and make an example out of Keeler because Keeler wasn't on his level in any way.
Right.
In any way, and he let him hang around. So, yeah, I think that one really hindered him. It really did. It was detrimental to his career.
Let's transition to heavyweight because there's so much going on in that division, and let's just say for the sake of argument that today you become the manager of Deontay Wilder, the former WBC champion. If you are Deontay Wilder's manager and you're advising him, do you get him in with Tyson Fury again in the rematch as they're planning to do, or do you say, hey, let's take a fight or two and kind of let your body heal and then get back? What would your plan of attack be for Deontay?
Well, Kevin, you and I know who's his advisor, and that's Mr. Al Heyman. So I can't step in the shoes of a Harvard graduate businessman, but let's just say I did graduate Harvard, and I'm a wannabe Al Heyman. I will cash him out. I will cash him out. He's going to be 35 years old. I think Tyson Fury has his number, and Deontay Wilder wants to do the great thing. He wants to get back in there. He wants to get the respect back, and that's what fighters. That's how a warrior has a warrior spirit. He wants to get back in there and shut the people up. But the people on the outside, the writers, the managers, everyone else knows, no, this guy just has your number. It's not going to end well for you. So if I was advising Deontay Wilder, I would have a straight talk with him. Tell him, look, man, if we go straight into the stream match, chances are, he has your number. But we're going to get a lot of money, and you're going to be set for the rest of your life. If you win, great. But if you lose, it could be the end, but you're going to cash out. Or plan B, we take an interim fight in between, get back to our winning ways. The money's going to come down a lot less, but we're going to get back to the Fury fight in maybe one or two more fights, and we can still get a large amount of money, but you're going to be in a better place physically, mentally, and most importantly, like I told Chris Mannix yesterday, spiritually. It's all spiritual, Kevin. It has to do with believing in yourself, being able to take a punch again, and being able to get backed up and change your strategy. You're going to have to fight different ways. You're going to have to be backing up in boxing. You have to come forward like you did in the first fight. You're not going to beat Tyson Fury just going one way. You have to be a little bit versatile. So I don't think this quick turnaround is going to be good for Wilder. I think it's more of a cash out for him. I would love to have seen him fight in between, but that's a fighter spirit. That's a gladiator, and that's why Wilder is the champion,
I obviously, other than just fooling around, have never been in the ring, so I don't want to tell somebody. But one thing I know, my experience of over 30 years of covering boxing, and I've watched it all my life. My dad boxed in the Army, so and I saw Sugar Ray Robinson when I was 5 or 6. His last fight, my dad took me to that fight, but I guess the point being, I think sometimes a guy gets beaten up that much as Deontay was against Tyson Fury. You're better off if you just sit out for 9 months, a year, and don't take the punishment. He's going to go back into training camp, and you're going to have to get hit a little bit, and you're going to have that. I wonder if he's going to be totally recovered. If you're going to give yourself the best chance to beat him, aren't you better off just not fighting and letting your body heal, and then then going back?
Yes, and that's why I'm telling you, a gladiator, a warrior spirit. I know what that's like. You want to get back in there and get your respect back, but it's the outside people, it's your team that needs to stop you. It's your trainer, it's your
Right.
advisor, it's your promoter, it's your friends, it's your family. Everybody that cares for you needs to say, "Hey, listen," and give you the best advice and really bring that pride down, because if it's up to any fighter, any champion, they're going to want to go back in there as fast as possible and prove that it was just a bad night. It wasn't a bad night. Some guys just have your number, and I think for the longevity of a fighter like Wilder, an Olympian, a world champion, made a lot of money, especially in the last two fights. I think a couple of fights in between would have been the smart thing, but it seems like they're going to want to get the most amount of money, get this trilogy, and call it a great career. A really solid career. A bronze medalist, a world champion. Made a lot of money, but
Yep.
he ran into a fighter that just had his number in Tyson Fury.
Tough guy to fight. I want to, another former heavyweight champion, Andy Ruiz. We still don't know what's up with him. He's been teasing a fight announcement coming up. You were there. I was critical of him after he lost to Anthony Joshua, not for losing the rematch to Anthony Joshua, but it was a fight I thought he could have won again and should have won again, based on the way Joshua fought and by coming in the shape he did. To me, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Do you do you think he learned from that, and B, what do you think we'll see from Ruiz next time he's in the ring? Do you think it'll be a different kind of guy?
No, he definitely learned from that. I was in a somewhat similar situation when I won the world title. I got caught off guard with the immediate rematch as well in the middle of my celebrating, and I lost the title 3 months later. Similar situation with Andy Ruiz Jr. Only he had more time to prepare. He had 4 months to prepare, and it was just a lack of discipline, and it was just having a lot of fun. You make all that money, you want to celebrate, you get invited to the best parties. I get it. I've been there. He will be back because one, he has the talent, he has the right team behind him, and he knows he got to that level, and he knows what that amount of money is like. He will get hungry again. He will get back to the championship level, but I don't think he'll ever become a world champion again. I think the cards are stacked against him. He had that one magical night against AJ, and I don't think he's gonna have another one. I think he's gonna get to the top. He's gonna compete because he's that good, but I don't think we'll see Andy Ruiz Jr. hold the belt ever again.
You think a Wilder Ruiz fight would be something that would be fun to watch?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think Ruiz Jr. will give anyone in the heavyweight division a difficult time. He has fast hands. I mean, his hands are explosive, and he has a really really smart ring IQ. And when he's prepared and he's active, he's a dangerous fighter. So yeah, I would love to see that fight. Wilder has too many holes in his defense, and with fast hands and a big punch like Ruiz, he lets you fall into those punches.
Right.
Wilder falls off balance when he misses. He doesn't have good technique when he misses.
Right.
Ruiz will catch him.
Let's wrap this up. One more thing in the heavyweight division, then. So that leaves the two guys on top, AJ and Tyson Fury. We have to assume that they are going to fight, especially if Fury beats Wilder in the rematch. That will be a fight we'll see in 2021. What would be your early take on that? I mean, I guess I'd have to go with Tyson Fury. I think he's a far better boxer than AJ is. But how do you think that would go, and what would each guy have to do to win it?
I think I would have to edge out Tyson Fury as well. He really impressed me the way he was able to back up a monster puncher in Wilder. I thought he was going to easily outbox him like he did the first time, and just not get caught towards the end. But he practiced what he preached. He said, "I'm going to back him up. I'm going to knock him out, early in the fight." He really did that. So it goes to show you he's crazy as a fox. He
Right.
really is. He's not only talented as a boxer, he's mentally strong, and now we know that he's physically strong and could back up a huge puncher in Wilder. I think he's the best heavyweight in the world right now, and I think AJ will have his hands full whether he goes forward pushing Fury or if he tries to outbox him like he did against Andy Ruiz. I don't think Fury will fall for that. I think Fury already proved he can back you up or he can outbox you. He's the number one heavyweight in the world.
Does it concern you when you look at AJ, the way he fought the rematch against Ruiz? You know, he fought, to me, tentative, and he was almost like afraid to get hit. And so now you look at Fury, and you're going a guy with an 85-inch reach who clearly can punch and that type of thing. I mean, what way does he fight? Because it seems like he's damned if he do. He's not going to outbox Tyson Fury, but if he tries to go forward to him, then he just lets it, kind of be like the Matador almost.
Yeah, and that's why when you ask me, I got to pick Tyson Fury. Favor him because of that. I think he has more tools in his toolbox, and they're both smart. They're both very smart fighters. I would edge out the power in Joshua, the strength in Joshua, but I'll edge out the boxing ability and legs to Fury. The defense, Fury, technique. I think technique maybe AJ, but Fury doesn't really rely on technique. He relies on being versatile and sly and punching you from angles and their confidence. I would have to think that AJ would have to back him up and really concentrate on the body. Take advantage of Fury keeping his hands down. Not aim for the head.
Right.
That's something that I made a lot of opponents miss because they always try to aim for my head. That's not how you beat me. You should have aimed for my chest or my body because that's how I'm going to stand still. So if I was,
that's what Sugar Shane Mosley did.
Hey, don't bring that up. Yeah, you're right. And he stopped me from moving from left to right, and that's what I think you need to do with Fury. You need to focus on hitting his shoulders and his body and really not get over anxious that you're not hitting his head, and then slow him down that way, get some points, get some rounds in the bank, and then that's when Fury's going to have to take chances coming forward, and then maybe you can catch him upstairs. But it's easier said than done. I would have to say Fury wins that fight, controls that fight.
Now, dude, I'm not blowing smoke up your butt when I tell you I've written this many times. I think you're a great analyst on DAZN. You got a great future. Chris Mannix, my former colleague at Yahoo Sports, your partner. Well, I'm not so sure about him.
I'm not so sure about him either, but thank you very much, Kevin. You're highly respected. I mean, anything that comes out of your mouth is gold, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Sergio Mora, the Latin Snake, former world champion, top announcer right now. Appreciate you joining me.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good day.